Hi, I'm a very lucky person. I absolutely love my job and I get to work with an amazing bunch of people, and lovely as they are, I am not talking about the lot from PECT. I'm talking about all the teachers and the eco-coordinators and the pupils across the city who constantly inspire me. Our teachers and pupils do various different programmes. Eco-Schools is just one of them, and it helps them to embed into the ethos and the curriculum of our schools environmental education. It's actually an international award scheme, and it's in 53 countries around the globe, including countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia and the US. And in this country, it's administered by Keep Britain Tidy. It's a progressive scheme, so schools have to work through an award. There's bronze, silver and green, and on average it takes about 2 years to get to green. So it's not a quick fix. They don't have to just put in some recycling bins and hey presto, they get a green flag. There are 9 themes within Eco-Schools, and all the different schemes that are available have a fairly similar plan, and they all fit together, so they're not mutually exclusive. For silver, as well as a range of other criteria, you need to have done an in-depth project on one theme. To get your first green flag, you have to do 3 themes. And then you have to do another 2 themes 2 years later, and then another 2 years later, right up until you get your 4th flag. And it all fits in with the curriculum. The idea is that it gets embedded into the curriculum, that it's not an add-on, that it's something that happens as a matter of course in the school. And we have a number of schools in the city for the pupils in their school, this is what a school's like. They don't know any different. The themes are very rarely done in isolation. It would be impossible to look at your school grounds and not consider biodiversity. If you are creating gardens in your school grounds, you're automatically looking at healthy living. So they all fit together. And the work that schools do on Eco-Schools and other schemes doesn't just look at environmental work, it also encompasses other government initiatives such as Every Child Matters and learning outside the classroom. And whilst the new Ofsted curriculum no longer explicitly mentions sustainability, I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago and the lead inspector for sustainability was giving a speech, and he made it very clear that inspectors are still looking at how sustainability helps schools to improve their behaviour and their results. So it's still relevant, even though it's not actually mentioned in the framework anymore. Oops. In Peterborough, we have a lot to be proud of. For many, many years, St Augustine's Junior School was the only eco-school in the city. When I started in this job in 2007, we only had 13 schools who were actively engaged. We currently have 92% of our schools actively engaged in some form of environmental education. That means they've got a coordinator who has responsibility for it, and they have a plan of what they're doing. Schools across this city are demonstrating best practice, and it's not just the ones who've got the highest awards. So don't be fooled into thinking that just because a school doesn't have a green flag, it's not demonstrating best practice. I can guarantee if you go in there, you'll probably find some amazing work going on. Peterborough compares pretty impressively both nationally and regionally. The green line is Peterborough, and it's pretty nice to see us doing better than the national average and the regional average. In 2008, we were in the bottom 20 for local education authorities for environmental education. In January, the Eco-Schools stats showed that we were 28th out of 152 local authorities, and I think that's a pretty impressive thing for our schools to have achieved. Now, it's not just about getting awards. However, awards are a measure of progression and they are a measure of improvement. 70% of our schools who are taking part in Eco-Schools have an award, which shows that they haven't just registered and then not done a lot. They've actually kept moving, they've kept improving, they've kept helping their children to develop. And actually, I only made this chart 2 weeks ago, and in the next few weeks it's going to be out of date already because we have one school due to be assessed for a green flag in 2 weeks, and we have another 3 waiting for an assessor to give them an appointment. And hopefully, probably by Easter, I'll be able to announce that we have our first secondary green flag and also our first nursery school green flag. So our schools are constantly impressing me and making progress. There are 9 themes, like I said, and the work that our schools do is pretty impressive. Now, you might think that this child up here with the Skittles made out of plastic bottles has been taking part in a waste project. Actually, this is a global citizenship project that he was doing. This is a child from Sacred Heart Primary, and his school is linked with a school in Africa. And when the kids were looking at stuff that their children sent through from the other school, they realised that all the children's toys were made from rubbish that people had thrown away. And so the year 2s in this school, so that's 7-year-olds, decided that they were going to do the same. So they went round, they scavenged through the waste bins in the school and in their homes, and they didn't just make one set of toys, they made a range of toys, and then they showed them to their school. And these toys were the hit of the Peterborough Eco Awards last year. People were queuing up to play with them, they were so popular. Our secondary schools are pretty impressive as well. The kids on the right there are from Jack Hunt School, and anyone who lives in that area will know there is a bit of a litter problem around there. So the Eco Committee there decided to turn the tables, and instead of inviting an external speaker to come in and preach to the children about why it was a bad thing and what they should do, they challenged them to make films. And they got lots of their peers to make films about littering and why they should stop it and why it's important. And they held a competition. They managed to get some funding for some cinema tickets for the winning group, and they created a really quite impressive range of films. I saw one of them at the Eco Awards. They brought it with them to show us. And they really thought about what was the best way to get the message across to their peers and found an effective way to do it. And that's what Eco Schools is all about. It's not about the teachers telling the pupils what to do, it's about the pupils finding solutions for themselves. When people think about environmental education, they automatically think about being outside. School grounds are a really rich learning environment. Many of our schools have created a range of habitats and have lots of learning opportunities outside. But the thing is, not all schools have the same amount of ground, so what might be right for All Saints Junior School is not going to be right for West Town. So they all have to find their own solution, and they have to find a solution that's not going to break the bank. So there's no point in having a very expensive gazebo if actually you want the kids to be looking for mini beasts in the tree lines. When you have gardening, some schools have fantastic garden areas, allotments, each class has its own piece of land and they grow vegetables. But if you don't have a lot of teachers in your school who know a lot about gardening or who are keen on getting muddy fingers, then actually some pots in the playground is just as effective and the kids learn just as well. You also have to think about what you're going to grow. The school holidays are in a really bad time for harvesting crops, and many schools fall into the trap of planting stuff that then is ready to be picked when the kids are on holiday. However, if there's any more schools prepared to make beetroot brownies, I would be very grateful to have a taste of them because they were delicious. Schools in Peterborough have absolutely no excuse for not reducing their energy in terms of the kids changing their behaviour and in terms of their infrastructure. We have an amazing climate change team who you're going to hear more about later, who have a free energy resource kit that you can borrow for half a term. They have Jenna Hiley, they have Rob Ford who'll come out and give you support, who put on fantastic events like Power Down. I had a brilliant time at the Power Down prize giving a few weeks ago. And our schools are making real savings, but they should all be doing that. It shouldn't just be one or two. In terms of transport, we've recently got Sustrans providing an officer to do Bike It, and you're going to hear from some kids in one of the films about how much fun they're having doing Bike It. We have Travel Choice, who support schools to do their travel plan, and all our schools have a travel plan, but they need to keep improving it. And we have Anglian Water, who have a brilliant range of resources, and a bus which helps children to find out how much water you really do need to flush away a poo, which, trust me, when you're 7, is always a very important thing to know. So what can you do if you're a school? Well, if you're not signed up already, then do. There's no reason not to. In this city, we have an amazing number of organisations and support available. Marissa Ryland from the Wildlife Trust and I were at a conference, and we were quite shocked at how little support there is in other places. Schools around here, I don't think, realise how lucky they are. Make use of all the resources you've got. There are Twilights coming up this term, run by me and by other organisations. Go to them. That's what they're there for. Involve your local community, involve your local councillors, but most of all, you need to come to the Eco Awards this year, 3rd of July at Ken Stimpson School. Last year, we had 110 pupils aged 3 to 18 showing off how brilliant they were. It was a fantastic day, and this year we want to absolutely burst Ken Stimpson to the gunnels with all the pupils coming. And if you're not a school, there's lots you can do as well. Give them a call, find out what they need. I'm sure they'll be able to give you a long list of things that they could do with, your skills, your time. If you're a councillor or a business and you have a small pot of money that you can donate to schools, then please do. Even a small amount of money can make a big difference. Many eco committees don't have a budget. They do fundraising for everything that they do. They're not going to ask you for hundreds and hundreds of pounds. They might even just ask you for £20 to buy some seeds this year. Get involved. And if you are a councillor or a governor or a parent, then please encourage your schools to come to the Eco Awards this year. We want it to make it especially brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.